Perfect. Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's session, Entrepreneur Empress Launch Watch Party. My name is Daniel Anzueto. I'm happy to welcome you to today's session. It's your first time attending one of our workshops. Let me provide some context on StartOut. StartOut accelerates the growth of the LGBTQ plus community to drive our economic empowerment, building a world where every LGBTQ plus entrepreneur has equal access to lead, succeed, and shape the workforce of the future. I'm excited to introduce our hosts for today, Amy Meadows and Donnie Hill. The floor is yours, Amy.
All right, thank you. So my name is Amy Meadows, and I've been a StartOut board member for the last 3 years, working with Demo Day. So we screen entrepreneurs and then have them do a quick little pitch competition. It's about 200 entrepreneurs every year that we get to be in part as part of it. It's always really fun. And it kind of inspired this work into Entrepreneur Empress. So I've been an entrepreneur a couple of times now. I've also been a corporate lady for far too many years. I've spent about 20 years doing mental health research and management before becoming an entrepreneur. But I'm really interested in how we change the future of work to really push forward more humanist values and people and planet focused companies. So I have invited Donnie Hill to be my co-panelist this evening. So I'll let Donnie introduce themselves.
Yes, hello, everyone. I'm Donnie, and I am the founder and CEO of a company called Life Maximizer. It's a coaching and consulting company, so I do a lot of work with corporate leaders and entrepreneurs who are thinking about how do they continue to lead more impactfully without running themselves into the ground. And over the past 15 plus years now, I've been in the coaching and training and development space. I've worked in healthcare. I worked with uh, physicians and cancer patients and their families for a number of years. And then I went into tech and I headed up a global sales onboarding training program and then our global marketing education program. And I worked as a professional actor. So over the past few years, I've been blending all of my different experiences to support entrepreneurs. And so I would say the most recent addition started in 2020. I started doing some nervous system education work for myself and then realized, wow, as I'm doing more of this work, this is making life a little easier. And so over the past 4 years, I've really integrated trauma-informed nervous system education into leadership development and business growth strategy and entrepreneurship. So that is really the lens that I'll be looking at.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, Donnie. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Since we've only got one person, Jackie, would you like to introduce yourself, or do you want to stay off camera and off voice? Alrighty. All right, so we're going to go ahead and watch the pilot episode of Entrepreneur Empress. I'm going to play it through the share screen. Please give me a thumbs up if you can hear the audio, and we'll go ahead and get started. And then after the episode is about 45 minutes long, so we'll watch the episode, and then Donnie and I will have kind of a panel discussion. We'd love for you to jump in with any questions or comments or critiques that you've got. Let me have it. The library will be open.
Being an entrepreneur.
Sorry, I need to move it down
here. Is not for the faint of heart.
It's a battle out there, but I'm here for it, and I'm in for a fight. This is about making the work that I want to make. The ultimate goal for any creative is to have control over what they want to make and then actually make it happen.
We're so excited to be part of this accelerator and to be growing our business because Misfits feels like our baby, as much as my mom wishes that it wasn't the baby that she wanted this year.
And so I really wanted to be on the show to inspire other entrepreneurs wherever they are across the world.
My name is Maddie Summa. I am 30 years old and I grew up in the Bay Area of California. My business is a practice that focuses on how to productize PR materials so that they serve as very sturdy internal resources that support product, sales, and HR.
I'm Maddie. Nice to meet you. Hi.
My name is Harmony Oswald. I served overseas in the 1st Infantry Division in Germany. It was one of the best decisions that I ever did. Joining the military, it gave me such amazing confidence and leadership skills.
And it gave me a broad worldview.
After the Army, that's when I decided, you know what, I can do anything I want and I'm going to become a lawyer. My company, Legal Lucy, empowers small business owners to narrow down issues that they're having prior to going to a lawyer.
My name is Julia Benner. I'm 34 years old and I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I was born in Berkeley and went to Santa Clara University, which is where I met Trevor.
My name is Trevor Nelson. I'm 33 years old, originally from Campbell, California in the South Bay here in the Bay Area.
Great, so should I start by sitting on his lap for this whole female leadership, women in power, sitting on a throne? So our company is called Misfits, and we're a business software solution for merchants in stores and online to capture shopper feedback and turn it into actionable data to improve conversions today and future forecasts.
Okay.
How do you feel about me running the company?
I feel very encouraged. I feel very encouraged for her to be running the company because she's someone I can easily get behind, and I believe in her.
My name is Amy Meadows, and this is the Accelerator for Women-Led Businesses focused on people, planet, and profit. You 6 have demonstrated you have the vision, passion, and grit to be standing here today. Are you ready to get started?
Yeah!
Learning the intricacies necessary to start and run a business is one thing, but whether your business succeeds or fails often comes down to company culture and team dynamics. That's why this week's focus is all about leadership, collaboration, and teamwork. You, as the leaders and founders of your business, have a responsibility to establish a high-quality company culture early on and maintain that culture through all the twists and turns that arise along the way. Today, we are joined by international business coach and leadership expert, Emily Iskoff-Dagian. Thank you, Emily, and welcome to Accelababes.
Thank you for having me. So I have my master's in marriage and family therapy, and I am classically and traditionally trained in psychoanalytic thinking. It's really all about thinking around the internal patterns that get externalized and embodied in relationships. And my interest is in how that shows up in organizations specifically. And founders are interesting because they tend to be people who like to integrate new information very, very quickly. So when working with them from a more psychological or more coaching-oriented standpoint, it's just very compelling. I work with founders in America, across the country. A lot of them happen to be in Silicon Valley, but I do work with founders internationally as well. Denmark, Germany, Jakarta, South Korea, just to name a few. Hello, everybody. So we are gonna do a bit of a talk today about what it means to be a good leader. So I'm curious, what do you all think makes a good leader? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
For me, I'll get us started. I think a lot of it comes down to really listening carefully. And then once you have all the diverse inputs, being decisive in your decisions.
Yeah, nice.
My name is Ekta Sahasi, and I'm 46 years old, and I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. With SpikeView, what I'm building is a global pre-professional portfolio platform for students and young adults to be able to organize their full experience, their full narrative, and be able to lean in on that narrative to drive a competitive wedge for themselves. I started with my own kids, organizing their narratives and working with them, drawing out some special skills and the things that they love to do, stuff that they're passionate about. And then from there, we started extending to their friend circles, their peers, and we're continuing to grow.
Yeah, so there's like that influential piece to it.
I think being authentic, because I think people are smart enough to recognize when you're not.
Yeah. Yes, they are. Sometimes.
Co-lead leaders are very empathetic to look at both sides before they make a decision and become very observant, strategic.
Hi, I'm Melanie. Nice to meet you all. Yeah, I'm 28 and I'm from San Francisco, California. I'm trying to create a business where people who are not staying in hostels, whether it's like hotels or Airbnb, how do we bring those people together and connect those people together? And I'm really excited about that because my passion is connecting other people and bring people together. I think I carry a lot of weight on my shoulder. First, I'm a female minority first-generation entrepreneur. A lot of my uncles and also my parents, they have started small businesses, right? So I feel like since they gave up so much to like come to America and like just give up everything for me, I carry the weight of like, how can I give back and help them? How can I give back to the world?
Good thoughts. Yes, yes to all of it, yes. And in my work, I encourage leaders to think differently sometimes. I encourage leaders to see people and teams as the building blocks of an organization and themselves as the conductor of their orchestra. Just like an orchestra, good leadership is the sum of its parts. It's a symphony, the crescendos, the pace, the way it slows or quickens, the way the instruments work together to produce one sound. It's really an art and not a science. And with that in mind, what do leaders get wrong?
Sometimes in my experience, those who really, really want to be a leader aren't the greatest leaders, right? It's someone, as you mentioned, that really is a good listener first, is a good follower first, and then that really, causes them to be able to rise up into a leadership position quite well.
Wow, more quiet on this question. Interesting. In my experience, what is most missed are the relationship dynamics and how relational dynamics impact collaboration. And when I say relationships, I actually don't just mean between people. I also mean intrapersonal relationships. Relationship with yourself, what's inside. It means starting with the founder first, starting with the leader first, utilizing self-awareness to work towards self-regulation. And empathy in order to be intelligent about feelings. Empathy meaning, do you know how people think? I can feel what you feel. And finally, I care about what you feel. A high-functioning team requires psychological safety. That includes dependability, respect, trust, clarity, and impact. Clarity is my personal favorite. Why? Because clarity is trust. Do you do what you say you're going to do? Are you where you say you're going to be? It's dependability and respect and trust and all wrapped in one, and that actually leads to impact. When we start to make progress here, that's where we start to see the team really shine and operate effectively. Everything gets easier. Having tough conversations, reaching for lofty goals, having external relationships with customers, driving meaningful outcomes. Conflict is imperative to growth, but you need a foundation to be able to support those dynamics, to support that conflict, that tension. And creating that foundation requires the leader to lead.
Your mini challenge today is going to be a competitive game that requires you to be collaborative to win. You'll be broken up into 2 teams of 3 players each. You must build the highest possible tower within 15 minutes using only the materials provided in this bag. You'll only be able to see what's inside when your time starts.
Harmony, Maddie, and Trevor, you will be team 1 and will complete the challenge first. Ekta, Julia, and Melanie, you will be team 2 and will go second.
When your timer is up, we will measure each tower. It must be able to stand alone for 10 seconds. The team with the tallest tower wins a small gift bag. While you're building your tower, keep in mind Emily's lesson about leadership and teamwork. Your time begins now.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
It's part of your challenge too.
It's all unravel. We don't have time. Already. We have some marshmallows. Okay.
So each team has received 20 mini marshmallows and 20 dried spaghetti noodles.
Oh, wow.
Let's see what happens.
Tower. Okay.
Okay.
Done this before.
So we have spaghetti
That was
and we
it.
have marshmallows. Oh, wait, maybe I don't know. Do we have anything else?
I think that's it. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay.
What? Oh, there's a card on there.
There's a card. There's a card. I threw the card.
There you go.
Okay. 20 marshmallows, 20 spaghetti noodles, 15 minutes, tallest tower wins, must stand 10 seconds.
So, I think we can break the spaghetti. What makes for a tall building?
I think like an Eiffel Tower, like a pyramid or something like that.
I had a little competitive spirit when he was on team 1 and I was on team 2, and I was just so excited to win. Trevor and I play Battleship all the time and are very competitive, so having that opportunity to play a game and to play against each other was fun, and it was exciting to see how it played out and how his team had a different perspective than our team.
Maybe we could use the string.
I think using the string, maybe if we also use the tissue paper at the top.
We could.
I mean, I think you'd probably need maybe a base that's wide enough so it doesn't topple, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I walked in saying, I'm going to be on the winning team, guys, let's go and win.
2 or 3.
Well, I think we should
snap a
sort
couple.
of just start,
Thicker
like get
base.
it started, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't have time to waste. Let's go, guys. Let's go quicker. Let's get this done. Let's get this done, guys.
We could do it this way where, because this is standing, right? Okay,
Right.
great, we've accomplished this.
Mhm.
We, like you could hold it in the air and we could add to the bottom. You know what I mean, like this?
Oh yeah.
With this
We could add
shape,
like this. What do you think?
I really loved how we solved different problems that we encountered as we worked. And I think that sense of just getting in and getting your hands involved, talking with other people, it was a lovely way to meet folks because I don't know how they think, but when you put spaghetti and marshmallows in front of someone, you learn a lot about how they think.
if we're starting with this shape and we're going up, it's gonna put force down here. And you
Right.
see how it bends?
Right.
So we're putting tall things at the bottom when it would be not as bendy if we started short, and maybe we do a triangle base.
Teeny tiny marshmallows, the teeny ones were a bit tricky.
So the marshmallow activity was pretty fun. It was definitely challenging.
Yes. So do you want to work on the base and then I can work on maybe like the top of the pyramid? Okay.
Because if we go too high too
we could
quickly,
break the spaghetti, right? So
yeah, but we should be a little careful as to
tall
we
as
do that.
that one.
Yep.
But like same. Okay, so 1.
Yep.
And then
There you go. Nice.
2.
Yep.
This reminds me of the high school test where they're like, do you like building a bird cage or designing the bird cage?
Will this help us to slowly make it taller?
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
putting another like marshmallow on top and see how many. Let's make this base really strong so that we can add more. do one here. Can I stick maybe the marshmallow to go in the middle and we can build up from there without breaking the spaghetti?
So basically we want a triangle here and then a second story basically, and then a third story.
So should we add another marshmallow on each of these, right?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do another tall guy here.
Okay.
Which is a full size.
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
Okay, we have 10 minutes left.
Great.
That's a really great idea. To put it in the middle. That was really good.
Very innovative. Okay, let's stick it in. If we do this, then we should cut it in half and do more incremental ones.
Yeah, I think maybe one more.
During the marshmallow activity, I was partnered with Julia and Ekta, and I thought the challenge went really great. I thought we worked together really well. At the end of the day, it's trusting each other and having open communication.
Oh, okay.
9, 10 more. Should we try to repeat this once again?
Yeah, let's do it. Can we repeat it? It would be like, okay, one going down here, one going down here, one going down here. And then you would form the triangle again, so it would make like a 3D object. So it's 3 big noodles per story. And then,
are we sure that we couldn't make this one taller with using marshmallow?
Yeah. Maybe that
Before
makes
we're
sense,
breaking
yeah.
the noodles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I just broke one.
Because this turns into a joint.
we'll
And
create reinforcements.
yeah, I think the reinforcements, yeah, that makes sense.
That could be the difference, right?
What if we put another piece of spaghetti through this to make this stronger and continue to layer, because we have such a strong base, and then these to support, it helps for it to be for the kind of like the needle at the top of the space needle.
Do you guys know that landmark
Do you want me to
Sutro
help them
Tower?
together?
Yeah.
So looking at the shape of that, it tapers toward the top, and it starts at a larger base, and
Right.
the shape is triangular. But it's
Right.
not quite like the Transamerica Pyramid is a very
We can't
clear
see
pyramid shape. So what if,
Yeah.
It's gone. It's okay.
Yeah, we're about halfway
It's all
through.
right. It's all right.
what if we use the longer noodles toward the base, and then as we go up, we create shorter triangles? 'Cause
Oh,
see, it's already going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need like, we
This is-
need.
Yeah, this is struggling in the middle.
It's too high. Wait.
I think
Look, it's almost, it's like pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's go up.
So should we do half? Or should we put a marshmallow here?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Break the spaghetti in half, and then add the marshmallow instead of trying to keep them
Because if we,
fully.
like, how about we put this marshmallow
Yeah,
here?
'cause
Because it's
that'll-
gonna make it wobbly. I think maybe we want to strengthen the bottom now.
Yeah,
'cause
it's starting to look
looking
a little
wobbly. So where do we strengthen? On this side? On this level or on the level below?
I think this side needs a little help because that's where.
Okay. Oh, okay, let's hold on. I'll hold on to the top. Uneven, so maybe how do we combat this?
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
maybe-
hold on. We just need a little bit more reinforcement, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe at the bottom. Like you were saying, the bottom needs to be really strong.
I think maybe if we have, is it possible to get one more tall noodle?
No, so let me stabilize it on this side.
What?
Okay.
Oh, using
This
that.
is very innovative of us.
Oh.
Very innovative, using all of our resources.
For them to have some creative input to actually infuse the tissue paper into the project too. I thought that was pretty clever. I don't think I would have thought of that.
Okay. Oh, wait, no. Okay, hold that up. What?
Wait.
No.
It was in the
Not
bag,
that,
right?
not that.
That counts, right?
Just put it into this one.
Okay.
Yeah. How can we
Okay,
keep going?
Continue.
I think if we touch the integrity of the base, we risk the whole thing falling over.
It doesn't need to be that pretty, so
Oh, like we could put them like this.
there we go.
Hook the. Do you want me to hook them in?
Yeah.
Just randomly, like.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I loved how my team was so down to try new things. I really loved how we solved different problems that we encountered as we worked.
Look, you want one? Here.
Sure. I like that.
Can we use one for an antenna?
Yeah.
could tie. Would it tie?
Oh,
1 minute. You want me to tie it?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Let's put something right here at the very top.
Yeah.
We just
Could you
want it
hold
to
that at the
stand
base,
though.
please?
Right now, we have to have it stand.
Yeah, so let's take this one out and take one of the clear pieces.
Okay, that's got some more
Okay.
foundation.
I think
need
you
a
should put
second
this
set of
off.
hands, please.
Yep. Okay, help like this.
Let's do.
You let it go.
Can we get
You let it go.
So we do have, should we try to inch our way up a little bit more?
there you go. That's helpful. Is there any way we can go like this for like the final?
Oh, it's starting to buckle a little bit.
So let's not.
Yeah.
And then muck around.
That's like stand for 10 seconds, I think.
More. Do you need more of this?
I'm kind of gauging this.
Do you need more of this?
Oh, this is gonna fall over.
All right, ladies, let's see how you did. It looks like it is standing, and we are at. All right, well done, teams. So team 1, you guys achieved 24.5 inches with your marshmallows and spaghetti.
Yeah, we did.
Team 2, you achieved 29 inches with your spaghetti. Great job. We have little gift bags for each of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you are. Great job. How did you guys do it?
Lots of clear communications and trial and error, and we were clear with each other when something wasn't working. We took things apart and listened to each other, and
We were really patient with each other. That's
Yeah.
one thing too.
And a lot of trial and error. I think we tried and then things were not working and then we added.
How did you guys do it?
Yeah, we also communicated pretty clearly, I thought. We didn't start with as big of a base, and I think that's probably where we probably could have improved for the next time, if there is a next time.
the marshmallow game at home.
Yeah, at home, we can do that.
I did like the inventiveness of using the tissue paper to staple it on the inside.
Yeah, we were very innovative. Ours was a purple structure, actually.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
We gave it a personality.
Yeah.
Didn't name it yet, but yeah.
There's a good floor plan.
Very
Wow.
creative. Very creative.
That's great because we could use everything from the bag, say including.
We could have used the bag.
Wow.
We could use the container. We could use everything.
Yes.
Now we know. Now we know.
Next
The
time.
container was a thing we realized after. If we built the structure within the container, it would keep the force from expanding out the base too much.
Oh.
So afterwards, we realized we didn't fully take advantage of everything in the bag, but we did what we could. And it got us 24.5 inches far.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you all for playing and practicing, listening, and leadership. We really appreciate each of you today.
Showing that there are people out there who want to help and who are supportive and can sympathize and empathize and recognize these women as strong leaders.
The advice that I'd have for couples in getting started is open lines of communication and being very direct with each other, as well as being honest.
And I think as a founder, trust is critically important because you're, working on a lot of very important things that will have very downstream impact that could be catastrophic. And so you need people that you can trust.
Welcome back. Did everyone have fun with your first activity?
That was great.
Now that you've had a break, we're going to move into our next portion, your business case activity. Today, you will be cooperatively role-playing with everyone together on the same team. Each of you will role-play as a specific member of a board of directors of company XYZ with 30 employees. Due to problems caused by the ongoing pandemic and about 12 months at your current burn rate, the funds you use to keep your company running will be fully depleted. Your investors don't want you to have less than your default alive amount of funding, or 6 months of cash to cover your operating expenses in your company account. Go below this amount and they will pull their funding. The good news is that your company is in the process of fulfilling a few major contracts. Project Blue is due to be finished 5 months from now. It will put your organization's finances back on track, but the contract isn't expected to be paid out by the customer until 90 days after completion, 8 months from now. That leaves a 2-month gap where you'll be below your default alive level of capital. A second major contract, Project Green, will keep your company aligned with your annual financial projections. The project is due in 7 months from now, with the contract to be paid out 90 days after completion, 10 months from now. The bad news is that the timeline of both of these projects leaves at least a 2-month financing gap to pay the company payroll and bills. Your company has tried to raise a round of funding from new venture capitalists, but those investors did not want to commit until one of the projects is completed.
Your challenge here is to work as a team. You will have 30 minutes to A, come up with a plan to save your business, and B, lay out key points to mention in a company-wide statement to all of your employees, detailing the situation, your plan, and anything else the team decides is important to say in order to maintain a healthy business culture during a time of crisis.
Each of you has been randomly assigned a different role in this role play. Harmony, you are assigned to be the CEO of company XYZ.
Very nice. Congratulations.
In the role as a CEO was that I felt confident and comfortable because it's a role that I have been in the past.
Melanie, you are the board president.
Oh, cool.
As it is in the real world, you two are ultimately on the hook for taking responsibility for your company being in this position, whether it was your fault or not. You are responsible for approving the final plan and reading the statement points to us at the end of the game. Ekta, you are the team leader of Project Blue. You need to make sure that in this conversation you represent your project team's responsibilities and reasonable expectations. Trevor, you are the leader of Project Green. Both of your projects are running on schedule, but there's very little wiggle room for either of you to sacrifice resources without running behind. Julia, you will be our Chief People Officer.
In the business case, I was a little surprised to be the Chief People Officer. I'm not quite familiar with what that role does and how I could contribute to the conversation.
And Maddie, you will be the Senior Vice President of Human Resources. It is your job to represent the interests of the workers and remind leadership of their needs for a healthy working environment and good work-life balance, as we try to retain all of the workers at the company.
I don't have the personality or thinking or sensibilities of an SVP of HR. I will put up a fight to defend teammates I care about. So I really tried to tap into that.
This isn't just to display your knowledge of how to navigate complex business situations. The purpose of this activity is to see how you can work through the kinds of difficult conversations that come up when your business hits a bump in the road. Are you able to take responsibility for problems? How well can you take into account the different needs and interests of different members of your organization? How well can you build and maintain rapport with your team, even when you have conflicting interests and opinions?
Your time starts now.
We have to do two things. One, save ourselves.
Yes.
All right, we have to have a plan. And number two, we have to basically send out a letter that maintains good relations with everyone within the company.
We were going into this business review or this business meeting to accomplish two things. One was to build an action plan as to what we would do, and then also 2 would be to create a letter that we would address to our employees to help keep morale up during these challenging times.
My biggest concern is how can I really help our employees, right? How can I prevent as minimal layoffs as I can and still have everyone keep their jobs? Because going into a recession and a pandemic and everything, it's scary, and people need jobs at that time, right? To feed their families.
So the problem is that for this, we have a gap, right? And
Yes.
we need to figure out what to do. So does anyone have any ideas about that?
Either we could get the blue team to finish earlier so that we could get more funding sooner.
So finish sooner on the projects, basically.
Green needs to finish sooner, or blue needs to pay closer to when they finish.
Net 60, not net 90. Yeah.
Yep.
Something else I was thinking about too is seeing if they'd be open to a multi-year agreement. So that way, once we do get funding for the blue, I know we're going to have a gap, but maybe have a 2-year or 3-year multi-year deal as opposed to maybe just a 12-month deal.
I mean, I think that might be the priority, to go and see if we can renegotiate. If not, then maybe there's an opportunity to be very transparent with our employees to see if some of them will consider working extra time now and accrue the payments for a much later date once we have the funding.
Right.
Maybe it's a combination of things that we have to do. Okay.
Another idea I had was around piggybacking off of, I think Ekta's point was seeing if we could delay payments to some of our employees, or in exchange for no payments, see if there's if anyone would want equity, so we could offer up some equity to them, so that way they can keep the burn rate down. See if that's an option, or maybe instead of the employees, maybe anybody like on the board or anybody that has significant amounts of equity, being able to take more of that and maybe even less of a salary potentially.
Should we consider changing executive compensation structures?
Yeah. So no employees gets laid off, and maybe a pause on hiring for now.
And so there is reducing the burn rate.
Right. Yeah.
And then there is another vector we have to consider, which is around schedule. And is there a way that we can work with our partners to see if they would be willing to
Scaling back the brick and mortar footprint could be useful.
Yeah, but I think, Maddie, in that we will probably have to look at what the terms of our lease are, because sometimes those leases are signed and they're binding. Yeah. So that might not be a short term, but we should absolutely take that as an action item to look at that.
Everybody that was putting their thoughts and views in did a good job collaborating.
Finding incentives to get people, if they wanted to do sprints or have encouraging to move quicker on projects, what can we do to help incentivize that work to make it feel like a benefit?
Yeah.
Or if we could flip to like maybe a 4-day work week to see if that could help encourage mental health for our employees as well.
I like that.
Yeah.
Clarify something. I'm kind of curious on the sprint concept, where we're asking people to go an extra mile and then we're turning around and saying 40 work week. Aren't they sort of orthogonal? Like, how is it? Are we proposing that the 4-day work week will happen post this crisis, or is it during this crisis?
During.
Okay, so then. So then how do we make up for the delta?
Having teams work together to make sure that they're prioritizing business critical needs to help complete these projects.
Well, in the middle of a crisis, if you change the fundamental work environment, that causes a lot of disruption for people. And so you really do need people to come into the office, stay with the schedule, and then really, drive them hard towards driving a shared outcome.
Okay, so let's just talk about the letter really quick
Right.
So we need to tell them something very inspiring.
Reminding everyone, tough economic times, but we're here to support you. We're doing everything we can to make sure that we're protecting you in this organization.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to just keep transparency and to let our employees know, like, hey, even though we're in tough economic times, we're trying our best to keep everyone, and we're going to do our best at the end of the day.
But if necessary, set up a Q&A for ongoing questions as these things unfold, just so that people understand who to talk to about payroll, who to talk to about any adjustments to their projects, making sure that people feel empowered without having this truly interrupt their workflow.
One moment, please. Can I have your attention? We have a small change. Due to increasing macroeconomic crisis, one of you will be laid off due to performance immediately following this meeting. The person laid off will be reached by consensus from all of you. So not only do you need to work together to establish your plan, but also you need to think about the level of contribution of your teammates and use your leadership skills to assess and observe the strengths and weaknesses of each other. Voting will take place at the end of this meeting and will be anonymous.
Having to let somebody go within that board room, that definitely shook us quite a bit, since we wanted to maintain high morale throughout the company.
I know it's not ideal. I'll leave you guys some post-it notes. Once you've, again, had some discussion, you're welcome to discuss. You can just go ahead and vote anonymously to start. I'll leave that to you. I'm available if anyone wants to talk.
And everybody maybe gets like 30 seconds to voice their thoughts.
Yeah.
Like maybe that could be the thing, right? Based on this situation and contribution of the individual in this situation.
I think if we look at it like you can focus more on the executive management maybe, and then I could work inside the company, so we can kind of divide and conquer our responsibilities while we're navigating all these areas of turbulence.
As board president, I could talk to the other boards and reach out to our investors to see if we can get more funding for this company to prolong our investments and keep our employees here and stay here.
Isn't that the CEO's job though?
It is, but the CEO has to talk to board as well
and
get everything approved.
So if you're the board president, how can you speak to the way that your performance and governance has proven effective if this is the situation that we're in? Honestly, I think Mel may have been the one who just got me a little bit agitated the most. She proposed the fewest ideas. She wasn't really looking out for anyone but herself as the board president.
At the end of the day, when we were voting people out, it was a little bit confusing because I felt like people thought I didn't contribute as much, but it's more so that I thought I was approving everything at the end and giving contribution towards the end.
I think Melanie may have been a little unclear of what the expectation was for a board president.
Well, I think, there's not a single point of failure here.
I noticed Trevor conceding opportunities to demonstrate the importance of his project. I think Trevor is definitely the weakest leader of the cast. I mean, he is our diversity hire, but at the same time, I really think that I expect more from someone who's positioned to be a captain. If he smiled a little bit more, I think I would have been happier.
Oh, it felt a little odd being the only guy in the group, but that's happened to me before with task forces I've been a part of at companies, so I don't think it's as big of a deal.
The person that I got a little annoyed with is Maddie. The reason is she had a lot of very interesting things to say, but what she was saying and how she was projecting her emotions, her body language, and how over the top she was with her expressions, it was just too much for this environment.
In a business setting, that her style of communicating might come across extremely direct or a bit obnoxious, but that could be a judgment toward women that is just a stereotype.
Well, I know I can be a little bit fake sometimes when I need to just put on a face. I wanted to be a little bit pushier, but instead, I feel like I held some stuff back.
I was really enjoying the flow of the brainstorming of how we were handling the action plan and the letter.
By process of elimination, I think having a chief people officer position being removed
would be the best case for media relations, for team morale, and it would remove the most budget from the overall organization. So I would recommend to remove the chief people officer.
Did you just suggest voting yourself off?
Yes.
I was also going to suggest voting myself off because one thing we never considered, because we decided to avoid the layoff discussion, we didn't address redundancies in this discussion. And I was going to say, I'm a redundancy in the leadership team at this stage, so I was also going to vote myself off.
We're giving you a big severance package, okay?
So when Julia did that, I actually wasn't surprised because that's just the kind of person she is. Definitely leading by example, and is one to fall on the sword when it comes to tough business decisions.
I did not think it's fair that women sacrifice themselves in business situations more than men. We know that majority of men make a higher salary than women. Majority of men get promoted more than females. And while females are out there getting hired for jobs, they're asking for very low salaries, being very humble, and they're afraid to negotiate more. And it shouldn't be like that.
So I absolutely disagree with the self-sacrificing decision. As a founder, your primary responsibility is to make sure that you do whatever it takes to make the business successful.
Julia demonstrated such competent thinking when she was going through the options for making extremely tough choices. And she did it in a way that demonstrates leadership from the core, not leadership from the situation.
The only thing I'm worried about is when employees see that C-suites are resigning, they start to worry, right? And they're like, okay, what's happening on the executive level? Does this make sense? Should I start looking? And the last thing we want to do is have 50 employees leave at the end of the day because they're worried.
All right. But I think it's also going to get to. Do you all have your person in mind?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. How many of you all have it written down?
We have 1 vote for CPO, 1 vote for board president, Ekta, the blue team manager, 2nd vote for chief people officer, a 3rd vote for Julia, our chief people officer, and a 4th vote for Julia. Julia, if you step out of the room.
I'm taking this as an opportunity to spend more time with my family.
Good one. Thank you.
I don't think anybody wants to get laid off and be voted off. But in taking a step back and looking at what's best for the business and what made sense based off of the construct of what was happening, that the team needed to make a decision on what would be the most cost effective, what would impact the team, what would be the best from a media perspective. And unfortunately, I was the person that ended up going home.
All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is our plan to basically reduce our burn rate. And then also tech development, marketing. Maddie made some good points about how we can make adjustments in marketing, potentially spending only on, and more specifically on higher performing products. So basically having the product or the project lead looking into and asking some questions there and seeing if there might be some potential to kind of move things and get that more workable that actually helps us to meet our goals.
And we really encourage everyone to work together. We're going to do a couple of sprints and just get everyone on board. If worst comes to worst, we might do some executive pay salary differentiation at the end of the day, but we're going to try to get everyone's job throughout this whole pandemic session.
So basically, in a nutshell, we're going to look at this as an opportunity. And we're going to deliver it that way to our entire team and really create that kind of atmosphere at work for people.
I love the business case because it was spot on to the things that I see in my own business. What I didn't really care for was some of the decisions being made collaboratively. That's just not how it works, right? You got to make hard decisions and you got to make them fast and you got to be very assertive and cutthroat about it.
Yeah, so the business case that we were in, I think it created a really profound lens into how people in a room can reach decisions while they're operating outside of their typical role. I really think being able to say, I'm responsible for this organization, this is how I'd like to see things go. Harmony didn't strike the right chord for me all the way through.
I think she was a strong leader in the business case, got everybody together to talk through different perspectives, and a roundtable gave everybody space to talk and share information.
Sorry, this is an editing issue.
You know, at the end of the day, it's trusting each other and having open communication. And maybe we're not at that part yet. Maybe we don't trust each other fully, and we'll get there eventually. But I
thought this was an amazing experience. I think it's so valuable to be delivering a show which showcases before America the innovativeness, the leadership skills, the business acumen of women.
I thought that the business activity was pretty fun. It was a really cool way of practicing a real business scenario and understanding what the challenges were and what we were up against.
I learned a lot from people in there, and I do mean that genuinely, because everyone spoke from different areas of expertise in their roles and as themselves. And it was really great seeing how people brought themselves to the table. I definitely expected better results, but I thought the process was very interesting and a team experience I'll definitely remember.
Female entrepreneurs, I know the saying is cheesy, but if you can see her, you can be her. Seeing so many other really strong, smart, powerful female leaders who are also on the same journey was motivation to really go out and do my best and continue on this journey.
Well, I think you all came up with some really wonderful, surprising plans that I had not thought of. So I'm really proud of each of you for playing with leadership, playing with cooperation, and working together as a team today. Thank you all so much. Hi, my name is Amy Meadows. Today is July 23rd, 2022, and this is Excellibabes reality TV show.
All right, so that was, oh, hold on. Okay. All right. So thank you, Donnie, for sticking it all the way through. Thank you, Jackie. Hopefully you're still here. I know Donnie and we kind of started a conversation on Sunday to kind of prepare for talking in front of the rest of the guests. But yeah, we can just kind of continue. And Jackie, if you've got any comments or questions, the library is open. Come in and let us know what you think.
If Jackie doesn't have anything, then I have some jumping off points.
All right, let's go to it.
All right. So first, I think it's important to know, I didn't say this in my introduction, but it needs context. So I have a voice disorder. So if for some reason you don't hear me or it cuts out, just say, "Hey, Donnie, can you repeat that?" And I'll repeat it. Because virtual does what virtual does, and sometimes my voice goes through, and sometimes it doesn't. But first, this is my fourth time watching it, and the more I watch it, the more I'm like, I have such an appreciation for what you have just put together, because one, already being an entrepreneur in itself is a difficult thing. But now people are coming on TV to talk about their business and also to show their competency and their incompetencies when it comes to being a good leader, when it comes to being a business owner. And that takes a whole lot of courage. And it also takes a very kind of discerning eye to create a show that has the same feeling that yours has, because it doesn't feel like Shark Tank. It doesn't feel like The Profit. It feels very unique, and it feels um, gentle and warm and welcoming, and also educational and like practical. So I love the blend that you have created with the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is part of the work that I've been really putting into it. Going through the SPDC curriculum, going through an accelerator myself, reading through other accelerators kind of curriculums and planning documents. And I knew that I wanted it to feel very uplifting and very empowering, particularly for women, but then for other people to feel that as those boats rise, all boats rise. We all help each other, is really what I wanted to focus on.
Nice. Now, when we first started, and what was her name? Emily? Is that the business
Emily
coach?
Dagian.
Yeah. And she was talking about what makes a good leader a good leader. That's when my brain started shifting around. Ooh, what do I want our discussion to be? Because I think when you experience good leadership and you see good leadership, you're like, man, that person is doing a great job. But when you experience horrible leadership and you don't demonstrate good leadership, you also feel that. So I think part of what I wanted to discuss with you is, while the concepts are good and they're important, like, how do you talk about the actual practical application of those things? So one of the things she mentioned was a trust building and being a good listener. Well, yeah, we'd all love to be a good listener, but if you're in a room with someone that you don't typically get along with, and they're working on a project that is taking resources from yours, let's say this is inside of a corporation, and you know, you all are playing the "Who Stole My Cheese" game, and then you come into a room and you're having to be in conversation with this person. There's all this internal stuff that is happening while you're trying to negotiate, right? And I think that's where you really see your leadership skills um, come into play. Are you good at kind of diplomatic negotiation and what that looks like? Or, do you get mad and throw stuff across the table and storm out, or, send Slack messages to your team or whatever? So when you think about like some of the examples that they shared, what do you do to practice those leadership skills for yourself? And what has worked for you and what hasn't worked for you?
I mean, for me, I've been practicing leadership. I got my first employee at age 20. It was at the Verizon mail center in O'Fallon, Missouri, and I had one part-time person under me. That was my first little venture into it, and we did fairly well. My next position, I had 8 employees under me, and that was at the MasterCard mail center, and there were some of them that I definitely did not do fully right by, and there were some of them that I definitely helped more than others. And I left that experience being like, okay, I gave, there was one employee who had like a moderate, like annual review. And I was just like, these are things you can work on. We had a very good kind of friendship relationship prior to that, but I was like, you're doing great, but like there's always room for improvement, like here. And they took it very personally. They took it very negatively. They started to stop showing up for work. They started to take nap breaks when they were out driving the company car to do errands. They just their whole attitude really shifted and changed. And I let it go on for maybe a month or two before I really stopped to address it again with them. And I think that I know that I let it go on too long before kind of addressing it with them. And it was starting to affect the other people's dynamics, because they were like, well, why does she get to like take a nap break in the company vehicle in the middle of the day? This was like back in 2002, 2003. This was a minute ago. And so I learned for myself, like, okay, I was as empathetic as I could be addressing it with them, but I needed to be more timely in correcting behaviors that I saw. That's definitely a spot to work on for me, is that I don't like conflict as much. I try to shy away from it, and in practicing my own leadership, I've learned to recognize that for myself and be like, okay, nope, pull on the big girl panties, because we got to address this shit. It's not going to go away. It's not going to just magically disappear, be swept under the rug. Like, that is not how we handle things. Let's get it out there. Let's get it handled, and get everybody back into a better working environment. And so that's one of the things that I've practiced over the years for myself.
Yeah, that's such a good one. Feedback. When I work with leaders, typically because I work with a lot of I call them thoughtful leaders. So they're constantly thinking about like, how is what I'm going to say going to offend this person or going to upset them or whatever? And they also are conflict avoidant. I'm part of that. I'm part of that club. That's why I teach it. And it's having like practical skills to give constructive feedback, I think, is so important. And so one of the things I think you and I wanted to do while we're on this is like giving people tools that they can use. So the one that I use, well, there are two. I think when you're thinking about feedback, one is the intention of the feedback and the impact. I think you need both. And I think you need to be clear about both as a leader, right? If the intention is, I'm wanting the person to be successful, but you're not thinking about the impact, you could deliver it as, hey, what you did was crap. Like, I think you need to do it differently. That's not thinking about the impact on the other person. But if you're thinking about the impact of like, I want them to be successful and I want them to feel good as they walk away from the conversation, you're likely to be more intentional about the language that you use or how you go about phrasing whatever it is you're going to say, so that they can hear the constructive feedback, but they also feel the care from you as leader. So that's one side. The other side is, I call it the test framework, TSTS, and it stands for truthful, empathetic, specific, timely, and solution oriented, right? And so feedback can feel kind of long sometimes if you're going through that framework. And initially, when you start, I think it's good to go through the framework so you can practice feeling what it sounds like and hearing what it sounds like. And then eventually, as you build trust with a person, they'll be like, oh, okay, Amy and Donnie, they both care about me. I just need to get to the core thing that I need to work on, and then I can go on about my work. But those two things typically um, help more thoughtful leaders and conflict avoidant leaders lean into it. And it's interesting because I haven't had any direct reports, but I've led a number of global projects. So with our executive, the C-suite, and then our SVPs for the onboarding program, I used to have to coordinate these monthly 3 and 4 day in-person training programs. And so we're getting people from the C-suite, we're getting SVPs, we're getting leaders from across product and marketing and sales and services and finance and operations to come in and give these presentations. And I couldn't go into their calendar and say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to pick out this time because you're free. Right? Either had to go through their executive assistant or find somebody on their team who could come in and do the presentation. And so much of the learning for me in a leadership role where I didn't have any direct authority or power over the person was some really interesting learning, right? Because I then had to genuinely build relationships with these people versus, just saying, hey, you got to listen to me because I'm doing this program. And initially I thought, oh my God, how am I going to do this? And I have to do this every month. But then as I started actually cultivating the relationships, I realized, wow, this is such a valuable skill. And if I can do it with our C-suite, then I know how to do it with my colleagues, right? And it was never about manipulating people. It was more about how do I call it the triple win. Some people like the double win, but the triple win for me is a win for you, a win for me, and a win for the relationship. Because you're going to need that relationship, whether you are working on a project long term, whether you're at that company, or if you get laid off, or they get laid off, or they get moved to another company, and you're looking for a job or work, you're going to go knocking on that door. And I think it's really important for people to think both thoughtfully and strategically about how they go about interacting with people and getting buy-in from people, whether they have direct authority or not.
Yeah, and I really, on the day of filming, I was very surprised that someone pulled the trigger on themselves, and I had very conflicted thoughts about it I still kind of have very conflicted thoughts because many times, when large corporations are going through rounds of layoffs, they will only lay off the lowest people. They won't lay off the C-suite or the executive teams. And they won't really they don't hold them as accountable as they maybe could be or should be. And so part of me is like, fuck yeah, like, more rights for lower people, like for the lower workers, like, and then part of me is like, but again, then it's a woman doing it, not the man doing it, and taking that bullet, biting that bullet for the team. Yeah, so I had some very conflicted thoughts as I was editing it all together as to like what exactly message do I want to share, and I think that the complexity of it is the message. Like it really is in more women dwelling on how do they step up into these roles, and more men looking at the roles more humbly and saying, okay, how do I hold myself and my other teammates accountable? Yeah, should we admit this person?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
And let's see. There we go.
Hello, welcome in, Chun Feng. So we just watched the live episode of Entrepreneur Empress, which is my new reality TV show that's live on YouTube right now. I can share the link so you can watch it later. And Donnie and I are just discussing the episode and how we think leadership and the entrepreneur world should move forward. Oh no, where did you go?
Well, I was also thinking about Melanie during her introduction, and she was talking about, being first gen, and her family was, they were business owners, and being a minority woman, and all of the different layers. And there is, I don't necessarily know how we talk about it, but I think it's important conversation that there are cultural, familial, and societal burdens that we carry with us as we step into leadership, and as we step into business ownership, right? And that gets kind of internalized, and then it gets played out in certain behaviors that impact your relationships. It impacts your kind of decision making. It impacts your relationship to your business, or your relationship to the ups and downs of business. And one of the reasons I started bringing more of the nervous system education and kind of the trauma informed lens into business growth and leadership is because I was struggling with myself. I'm like, I'm trying to build a business, and here I am in the background hearing like, oh, Black people don't blah 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 blah, and gay people don't blah 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 blah, and you're a man and you shouldn't do da 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 da. I'm like, I just need to make some sales calls. I don't need to be trying to make sales calls and then processing like ancestral trauma in addition to, keeping food on the table. But we go through it, regardless of how verbal we are about it is going to vary from person to person. But I think it's still there. And I think it ends up adding more stress to being a leader and to being an entrepreneur, because we don't necessarily have places where we can go to talk about it. And so you're trying to like compartmentalize. And I don't know about you or any of the listeners, but I'm a horrible compartmentalizer.
You can read it on my face. It's gonna be there.
My company is called Life Maximizer for a reason. It's like everything is in the mix. Right? So when I think about, people's entrepreneurship journey, and you mentioned in our preparation call on Sunday that you really want this to be a resource for the emerging entrepreneurs and like the Gen Zers and the generations after that. And I think they're thinking a lot more about mental health and well-being and purpose and enjoyment and all of those things. And so they're wanting to figure out, how do they take care of themselves and enjoy themselves and also have a successful business. And sometimes when those things come together um, fairly effortlessly, it feels amazing. You're like, yeah, I'm in the flow. But more often than not, they don't typically mesh well. And so you're kind of battling yourself and you're battling your business. And then people leave and they feel so beat up that they're like, oh, I don't think I want to run my business anymore. Or maybe I should just resign. Or, I don't want to be a leader. And Julia is a perfect example. Like, oh, I'm going to go and enjoy time with my kids. Right?
I'm gonna go have those babies my mom wanted.
And that's, I think, sometimes, the circumstances allow for that to happen. But I would say more often than not, when that happens, people are more often beating themselves up like, oh my God, what could I have done better? And, maybe had I spoken up more, or maybe had I been more strategic and led more initiatives, they would have kept me. And now I got to go through the interviewing process, and I got to try and find a job and all of that. And it just becomes such a tornado of things that the the business building journey can just feel like you're constantly being thrown around. And I think naming that sometimes we are constantly being thrown around is really important so that people don't feel like they're kind of on the ship by themselves. And they're like, I'm out in the middle of the sea. Where's my crew?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I liked about the way that the episode turned out is I really like that Ekta, Harmony, and Julia are all still building those businesses.
Yeah.
Trevor, Melanie, and Maddie have gone on to do other things, but I really appreciate that those women, even for that day, found camaraderie, found accomplices or compatriots or whatever you think the term should be, and found a way to kind of feel uplifted together with each other. I recently went through Stella Labs, which is a women accelerator, and so there was 15 women in the cohort, and it was and we all got to show up as our very messy selves. Some days, we were like, I just cried for 2 hours over imposter syndrome, or some investor said no, and I had to go punch a pillow and go for a walk, or like, because we're like, it's one more no, like, why all the no's, and but then we could also share about, one of the products was a menopause products. One of the products was a lubricant for women's vaginal health. A couple of them were like kids directed little companies. And I really felt by the end of the 16 weeks, I felt like we all really supported each other and saw each other's growth and held each other in not letting us talk down to ourselves. Yeah, so like there was one session where one of the ladies, and this is her second venture, she sold her first, like, she's been in it, she already done an acquisition, like she's now building something else, and she was all talking down about herself. And one of the other ladies was like, oh, hell no, you're going to stop that right now. Pause. Repeat these statements after me. I am capable. And it was beautiful in its interrupt. Like, no. Don't let those thoughts of you're not good enough, it's never going to work out, why are you doing this, they were like, you've got to put an end to it, especially when you know that you've got resources and you've got support and you've got a team of people who are cheering you on. So that's what I hope to see in further episodes of the show.
I love it. Will you tell people about your vision for this
Yeah.
show if you can share it? Yeah.
Yeah, so my the vision, each episode format is going to change a little bit. So the episode will have a lesson, a mini challenge or operational challenge, and then we'll have a pitch at the end instead of the role playing. We'll use role playing as some of the mini challenges in other episodes. The episodes will start with leadership, worker rights, and environmental sustainability and regeneration, kind of laying the foundation before they really get into building their product, their design, their financials, their website, supply chain, and all that other stuff that comes in the next few episodes. So I've mapped it out to be about 14 episodes, 45 minutes for each episode, where we really follow along on these things, and we teach people how to be better entrepreneurs for the people and the planet while still making a profit.
I love how your brain works. My brain is more like a ping pong. It just bounces all over the place. And when I hear you talk, like everything has good structure and like flow. I'm like, God bless the Amy's of the world.
I've been practicing. I've been doing the work. The behind the scenes, writing the scripts. Yeah.
What was your favorite part of like preparing the show, or I don't even know what the proper word is, curating, designing, and then now looking back, which part would you be like, I think I would outsource this piece. I don't want to do this piece again.
I really enjoyed being the host and getting to kind of put on that TV grammar readiness. Okay, let's do the thing. Let's put on the voice. Let's put on the TV mask. But it was really fun, and I really enjoyed. I played through the marshmallow game by myself, like a couple of nights before, just so I could test run it and everything. But then seeing the variety of answers that people came up with for the mini challenge and for the role playing game, I was honestly surprised. I was like, oh, all right, y'all really took what I laid down and you went for it. And so being pleasantly surprised was probably one of my favorite parts of the day. And just sitting in the green room and actually getting to know everybody and getting to chat with them. What I would outsource next time. So next time I want to keep casting a little closer to me. I did let someone else handle most of the casting for this episode, and I have some thoughts. I don't know that I would have allowed in a man, even as a co-founder. And I'm really wondering, in my full 14 episode series, I want each team to be 2 or more people. Like, do I allow men in? Because it really does change the dynamic. In the episode, you can see that during the marshmallow challenge, Harmony is consistently looking at Trevor and asking Trevor questions and asking, is this okay? What do you think? What do you want? She's not really leading from herself in that portion of the episode. And so I do think putting a man in there changed some of the women empowerment dynamics that we had going on. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna cast season 1, but it's definitely a question on my mind. my least favorite part of doing all of this was the post editing, where we had each of the individual confessional videos, and I had to go and like timestamp and write out every sentence of every person. And then once I had all of the different videos time stamped, then I could say, okay, I want to pull this one from this one and this one from this one, and I want it in this order. And then putting the music on top of that and being like, okay, this scene needs music that's like this, and then going and trying to find free music. I hope to have a better editing post-production crew that can handle that more from me, because it was a lot.
If it were me doing the show, my show would not have been aired had I had to do
Yeah, but I luckily I had a friend who helped me. You know, he brought in the cameras and the lights and the microphones, and then he took my Excel spreadsheets where, and I said, okay, this order, this order, this order, and he chopped it all together and put it all together. So I am incredibly thankful to Oven for putting in many hours of work for me.
I hope for your future season, there's opportunities for you all to like have bloopers or keep bloopers, so so you can share those with people, because it's like, yeah, I think there's something about getting to see some of the funny pieces that we just don't get to see. Makes it
sure, yeah.
enjoyable. Yeah. Is there anything you want to share or say as we wrap up our time together?
No, I think it was really great to be able to get your perspectives. Now that now that I've gotten a chance to talk to you a couple of times and you've gotten to watch it a couple of times. But yeah, I really appreciate you, Donnie. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you too. I mean, I'm glad we got reconnected. I know it's been a little while, so thank you for inviting me and to be a part of the StartOut community again.
Thanks. You should come volunteer with us.
In California.
Yeah, we're nationwide. You could start an Alabama chapter.
Conversations be continued.
All right. Well, Chun Fong, unless you have any questions or comments, I think we'll go ahead and close it out. I don't see anything popping up in the chat or coming.
He said, thank you for sharing.
Oh, there you are. No worries. All right. Thank you both, and I hope you have a great evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye.